We had technology problems, so we're late, and I apologize. Guys, welcome to this week's Facebook Live. Yeah, sorry, there was techie issues, and so it's taken us a little bit of time to get it resolved. But hey, we're all here. Or at least I am, and hopefully you're going to be here sometime soon. So if you're going to join us and you're on live, just pop in and say hi. That would be awesome. If you're watching us on the replay, tell us that you're watching the replay. But we've got a bunch of stuff to go through, and let me give you a little bit of context before we kind of jump into the actual content itself. So many of you in this group are known to me, and we do follow, right? We do watch what you guys are doing because it's in our interest to do so. But mainly we do it because we want to make sure that if we are going to be delivering some content, that it's going to be valuable, right? And maybe some things that you're doing well, some things that you aren't doing so well. And that helps us come up with some ideas about what we might want to share to help you guys along, right? So this whole idea of education-based marketing clearly isn't new, right? I mean, this whole thing's been going on for a long, long time. And a lot of people in our industry, a lot of people, if not everybody in our industry, is or should be doing education-based marketing, in my opinion, right? I think it's just the best way for you to show your prospects the gifts, right? The gifts that you have, your genius, whatever your genius is for you. I just think it's a great way for you to get out there, whether you're doing it on a webinar, whether you're doing it on live workshops, whatever medium you're using to get out there and just share what you have with the world is awesome. The problem is what we're seeing in a lot of people is these kind of mistakes, right? Things that I think that if you just tighten up a little bit, then you're going to get much more bang for the buck. So that's what this is going to be about, right? This is just my attempt to try and give you what we believe are like these seven things that, and you're probably not making all the 7 mistakes, but I guarantee you're making 1 or 2. So the idea here is for you to identify which 1 or 2 you might be able to, tighten up on, right? That's all it is. That's all we're going to do. But it's cool stuff. It's going to help you immensely. And again, I know there's a whole bunch of you guys who are part of this group who are still trying to get to that 10K a month run rate, haven't quite got there yet. Maybe you're just starting your business. Maybe you've been in business for a while and you're trying to get that first or second or third or fourth client is just proven really, really difficult, right? It's proven tough. Education-based marketing is a brilliant way, as I said, for you to get in front of your ideal prospect. But you have to know who your ideal prospect is for this shit to work, right? This isn't something we just throw out there. This is highly strategic. It's highly targeted, right? And that's probably one of the biggest things that goes wrong with anybody who's doing this stuff. And I don't want to jump ahead, but this is where the wheels come off the wagon, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump right in. And if you're on this and you are live, I want to see comments. Tell me what you're thinking. Yeah, let's kind of jump straight in. So here's number 1, as I've just alluded to, right? Number 1, trying to appeal to everybody. Guys, look, the best marketing in the world does 3 things. It hits the exact right person at the exact right time with the exact right message. That's what the best marketing does. And if you aren't, or if you're marketing and if the stuff that you're putting out there is too wishy-washy, if it's too generic, if it's too broad-based, then the chances are that it isn't really going to appeal to anybody. Because we don't know who you're speaking to. I don't know if what you're putting out there is actually for me or not, because you're not calling me out. So if your idea, and it's really funny because this happened on a coaching call yesterday with a couple of clients who were talking about they're in our Accelerate program, but they were talking about trying to identify their niche. And one of the big things holding them back was, well, if we niche ourselves too much, we're going to miss all this opportunity over here. That's true. But what you're going to gain here is going to be 10x what you would make over here, because the people you're speaking to here are absolutely in line with the problem that you can solve in the way that you can solve it. So in your marketing, especially education-based marketing, you have to be really clear about who it is you want to talk to. And we talk about the power of one. All our marketing is designed that when it gets in front of the right person, their immediate response is, wow, you're talking about me, right? This is about me. And that's what we want. If it gets in front of someone and they have to do a mind shift or think about whether or not this is for them, you've already lost them, right? You've already lost them. So don't fall into the trap of marketing to a broader based audience is actually the way to go. It absolutely is not, right? So don't try to appeal to everyone when you're doing this stuff. Get really hyper in terms of the niche and the people that you're talking to, and also the problem that you can solve. So that's the first thing. Second thing is this, right? Not understanding your prospects' hot buttons. Okay. So what do we mean by that? Really simple. We always said that one of the greatest strategies in marketing is your ability to have deep empathy with the people that you can help, the people that you want to go after, the people that you want to work with. The reason that we work with coaches, right? And we don't work with coaches exclusively, and that's the thing. But we market into the coaching world because we have been through everything that coaches are going through, especially in the early stage of their business. So we have a deep empathy. We know exactly what it is that's keeping you guys up at night. We know exactly how you're feeling, and we know exactly how it affects you emotionally, because we are you. We've been through it, right? And that's the ideal scenario, is that you're going to work with people, you're going to have clients and prospects who you can clearly identify with, so that you understand the hot buttons. So there was one of our clients wanted to go and work with CEOs. And I said, okay, that's fine. So what is it? Like, what's the thing that you want to market to them? And it was about work-life balance. I'm like, I don't know that a CEO is staying up at night because they feel that they don't have the right work-life balance. Like, I don't look at that being as a hot button, right? In their mind, it was. But the CEO, I'm like, I don't believe that's the case. There's something else that you've got to go figure out and target in order for your marketing to get in front of them and go, holy crap, you're talking about me. So empathy, deep empathy, and understanding the hot buttons. What is it that's keeping your prospect up at night? How does that stuff affect them emotionally? How does it affect their family? These are the things that you want to focus in on. So look at what you're putting out. And are you talking the right language? Are you saying the right things? Are you saying the things to your niche or your target audience that you know 100% this is something that they're going to have trouble with? All right. So one of the reasons that we want to do that, by the way, is so that you're not spending a whole bunch of time doing this. All right. Cold calling. Right. Shooting in the dark. What we want to do is to get things in front of people, our ideal client, or niche, whatever it is, guys, right? So that they can self-identify and go, holy crap, you're talking about me, right? So they're going to put their hand up and they're going to go, you sound like someone I need to talk to because you clearly understand what I'm going through. All right, so that's number 2, understanding hot buttons. Right, number 3, only going for the sale. So I'm laughing because honestly, this is one of these things where almost everybody will tell you, oh no, I nurture, I do. And then I'm watching people on social media, right? And oh my God, all they're doing is selling shit. Come buy my stuff. Or trying to get someone immediately into some kind of strategy call, discovery call, whatever it might be for in the coaching world. Look, it is true that people have to build up a certain degree of trust, and you have to come into this with some level of credibility, guys, right? But it's also true that what we really want to do is to create a series of micro commitments. The more micro commitments that you can create for someone before they get on a call, it all increases that level of interest, and is certainly going to increase the chances of you converting that call once you get to that phone call. So what we suggest always is creating your money magnet, whatever that is for you, right? Whether it's your PDF, a download, whatever it is, and then setting up your follow-up system. And we're going to get to that. That's the last thing we're going to talk about. But if you're immediately going to go for the jugular, if you're immediately going to try and get into that sale, not only are you going to fail, first and foremost, you're also going to turn that prospect off probably forever. Like, they're done. You're never going to get them back, right? So you have to be looking at, how aggressive do I want to be? How aggressive do I need to be? And how is that going to be perceived by the prospect that I'm speaking with? Right? These things do take a little bit of time, right? We want to build up that credibility, right? We want to build up that little bit of authority before we go on a phone call, right? One of the reasons, and I allude to this all the time, is one of the reasons that we have such a high conversion rate is I never have a phone call with anyone where I don't absolutely 100% understand their problem before they go on the call. I know exactly what the call is going to be. I know exactly where the problems are. I know why they're getting the results they're getting. Okay. So, but all that's done because, one, we understand the niche. We live that niche. We understand the hot buttons. We market the hot buttons, right? And then we create micro commitments, things that are going to help in order to move them through a process until they're ready to say, you know what, James, it's time for us to have a phone call. And that's how it works. So only going for the sale, guys, is number 3. And it's a biggie. So you need to look at what you're doing and how that might get perceived by the market. And is it too aggressive, right? Are you going in for the kill way too early? In for the kill is a bad expression, but you get the point, right? You're going in there and you're just trying to nail it way too early in the process. All right, so that's number 3. Number 4, unintentionally suppressing responses. Sounds a little weird, right? Okay, so what does that look like? What does that mean? Right, so unintentionally suppressing response is basically we create barriers. Let me actually step back. There are some things that we want to do to suppress a response. There are some things we want to do to suppress a response because we don't want people who aren't qualified or aren't our ideal client, we don't want them in the mix. Okay, so there are times where we will intentionally suppress response. But what we tend to see in the market by a lot of people is them unintentionally suppressing responses by doing daft stuff. You know, little things like, signing up for a webinar and asking for my mobile number. No, you're not getting my phone number. I don't care if you're telling me so we can send you a text message, right? But I also understand that the person doing that might be doing that for a reason, because their ideal client would only be too happy to give them their phone number. But if I've just met you, if I'm just coming across you for the first time, and even if you're running something that I look at and go, that looks interesting, I might want to jump on this. And then I get to the registration says, give us your phone number. I'm not doing it. I don't know you that well. I don't have that amount of trust that I'm going to give you my phone number. So you have to look at how much information are we asking for in order to move someone along our process. remember that your prospects, just like you, we look at risk reward, right? And it's almost like a seesaw, I guess, right? So if me giving you information looks to me where it's too much risk with very little reward, then I'm not going to do it, right? What we want to do is to invert that, right? So we want low risk, high reward, right? Low risk, high reward is what we're looking for. So in most cases, we want to make it easy for someone to get into our system so we can follow up and nurture. But there are obviously going to be times where we don't. We want to create barriers to entry so that only the people that we want to speak with are going to come through. What you have to figure out is that where in your process does that happen, right? So top of funnel, you might not care. Top of funnel, it's like just load them in. But as they get further down your funnel, right, we don't want to have everyone coming through. So that might be a time where you will suppress response. Some of the ways we do that is by someone who's going to book a call. You know, we have a number of questions that we're going to ask before you get on a call with us. I want to know how long you've been in business. Are you a coach or a consultant? Where's your revenue right now? Right? Who's your target market? Like I want to know these things before I get on the call so that I am informed, but also I know that someone who answers those questions are probably more invested in having this call and getting value from the call than someone who isn't. So you got to be able to know when and where you want to do that, but be also clear about where you're doing it unintentionally. All right, where you're doing it unintentionally. All right, number 5, too much or too little content. It's another biggie, right? How much do we really want to put out there, and how much should we hold back? So there's this expression that says, tell them what they need to know, but not everything that you know. Tell them what they need to know, but not everything that you know. And, you know, we know from experience, guys, that, you know, in the coaching industry, we have a propensity to just vomit our stuff over prospects. We just give them as much, we just like fire hose, just give them everything, right? Reality is that most of the time they actually don't even look at or read or watch what we do. They're just not, right? So, you know, I look at things like the book strategy. So the book strategy is, hey, you've got a book, and a bunch of you in this group, right, have been told by other people that the book that you've been given, which has been written for you, to go to networking events and give it as a lead magnet and blah, 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 right? If I was given a book by someone I had just met, the chances of me reading this are 0. I bought these books that are sitting here. I have another probably 100 books sitting over there. I've maybe read half of them. And these are books that I physically purchased. I paid money for them. So what do you think the chances are of someone actually reading the book that you gave them for free, having just met them, right? So one of the things that we want you to understand is that even when you develop great content, you have to be very conscious of, one, they're probably never going to watch or read it. That's the first thing. 2, is it complete overload? Right? Is it overload? Or 3, is it just not giving them enough? I would suggest to people who do book strategy is don't give away your book. Give away something else and then deliver the chapters of the book over time as individual pieces of content, right? One of the reasons we want to do that is if you give away a book, for instance, it's one and done. Like, boom, it's over. But if you're giving away chapters of your book as content, let's say every couple of days, you can actually track who's opening the content and then take the people that are opening the most of your content and put them into another group because they're probably people you want to go follow up with versus give them the whole shebang at once, right? And we talk about that on anything that's more than a couple of pages, or 3 or 4 or 5 pages long. If you've got a white paper, don't deliver the whole white paper, right? Chop it up and deliver it over a period of time. So be very conscious about what it is you're delivering, and look at it and really ask yourself is, what are the chances of anyone reading this because it's too long? Or is what I'm giving them just enough to whet their appetite, which is, here's why it's important and here's what it is, right? We always say we give you the why and the what for free, but the how is what you pay for. So just look at what you're doing and evaluate, is this stuff too much? And if it's a book, it's way too much, right? Is it too little? Is it just going to, and we sometimes see this where we get too little, but the too little is just a sales page. So it's just selling, right? It's not actually creating any value for me. It's just, hey, come buy my stuff again. So be very conscious about that, guys. All right. We're getting through this. This is cool. Number 6, not having a clear next step. This is killer, right? This is one of those killer things where you do the work, you put something out there, and then nothing happens, right? The person getting the stuff, the person who's consumed your marketing, the person who's went and put their name in and their email and got the thing, is now just sitting there going, okay, like, now what? Now what? Everything that you do in your process has to have a clear next step for the prospect to follow, right? And there's a number of ways to do this. There's a number of different hacks that we use on everything that gets them to go to the step that we actually want them into. What I want you to do is look at what you're doing from your marketing, your education-based marketing, and ask yourself the question, when someone does that step, is the next thing that I need them to do, is that clear to them? Because if they have to try and work it out, figure it, then you're done. It's over. All right. So we always want to make sure that we say, hey, now that you've got this, here's the next thing you want to do. Now that you've got this, here's the next thing you want to do. Even if that next thing, I say, come and book a call. If that's the next step, then make sure that as soon as I've taken that first action, the next action is book a call. You will see this on our webinars. Like if you go and register for the webinar we're doing next week, which, by the way, you should do, right? Anyone seeing this in this group should be on that webinar, because you're nowhere near the numbers that you need to be. But as soon as you register, boom, the thank you page is me. Hey, thanks for registering. Why don't you jump the line and come and book a call? That's the next step. That's the next step. So always think about, what is the next step? What is the thing I want them to do next? And is it clear to them that that's what we want them to do? All right, last one. Probably one of the biggest that happens with people who are doing education-based marketing is not having a follow-up system. So just look at it from this standpoint. You go out, you've developed your lead magnet, you've went out to the world, and you've created 50, 60, 70 leads, people that have come in, taken your thing. Then they just sit there. I mean, they're in your list. It's okay, right? They're in your list. But now they're just sitting there, right? And you're not doing any follow-up. There's this little thing that happens in our world, guys. It's called the law of diminishing intent. What that means is, the longer you leave it to follow up with someone, the less they become interested in anything that you've got. So their intention was high. They got your thing. But every day that they don't hear from you, their intention of taking any kind of an action is going down. It's going down. So what we want to do is to make sure is that our follow-up system is in place before we start going into the market with anything that requires someone to give us their name and an email, meaning that your nurturing system, whatever your follow-up needs to be, and your follow-up could simply be an email or a direct message saying, hey, James, saw that you downloaded my thing. Thanks so much. Awesome. Right? Are you open to having a quick call? That might be your follow-up, depending on how well this person knows you. If it's someone that's been in your system for a while and they continue to download your shit, those people need some help. They're clearly searching for an answer for something. So make sure that you've got a system for follow-up immediately after they download your stuff, guys. Right? So just remember that term, the law of diminishing intent, meaning the longer you leave it before you follow up with someone, the less interested they're going to be. Right? The less interested they're going to be. So let's pull this back in here. So really quick, here's your 7, right? Trying to appeal to everybody. Stop it. Find a niche. Find a niche and talk to one person. That's it. Just talk to one person. 2, hot buttons, empathy. Understand their hot buttons. What is it that drives them? What keeps them up at night? All right. How does that affect them emotionally? Because that's what your marketing is going to be. That's going to be the narrative around your marketing. Only going in for the sale. No. If you feel like you're going in too quick, you're going to put people off. Micro commitments, right? Get into a little thing. Build your credibility, build your authority, and then you can talk about the sale. Unintentionally suppressing responses. Look at what information you're asking for anyone to do everything. Everyone looks at risk and reward, right? How much risk am I taking, and what's the reward for me taking that risk? And if you're asking for information in the early stage, right, then you're going to have less people coming through, right? We don't mind people coming through at the top end because we're going to make sure that we qualify them at the bottom end, right? But that's intentional. Don't unintentionally suppress responses at the top end, right? You're too much or too little content. Just look at what you're sending people. And if something looks too big, chop it up and deliver it in 3 different bites. That's 3 times you get to go contact them, right? And especially if you've got a freaking book, all right? Stop giving away the whole book at once. Take the book, deliver it as chapters. You're going to get way more value from just shipping out 10 or 12 chapters than you'll ever get of giving you one book at once. Having the next step. Make sure your next step is clearly identified. Tell me what you want me to do, and I will probably go and do it. And the best time to get someone to take the next step is when they've just taken the step before. Don't leave it. Don't have someone take a step and then 3 days later ask them to do the next thing. Get them to do it right after they've taken the first one. That's when you're going to get the highest throughput. And then follow-up failure, right? Make sure you've got your nurturing system, your follow-up all designed out before you put the goddamn thing into the market. Otherwise, you're going to be flapping around trying to figure stuff out. And that's going to take time. And remember, diminishing intent, right? It's going to start going down. So it needs to happen immediately. So make sure that you've got your follow-up system ready to go before you deliver your first lead magnet or whatever the hell it might be. Your first workshop, doesn't matter what it is. Get the follow-up system done first. It doesn't have to be 100% complete, by the way. It doesn't have to be, right? We always tell you, hey, get your first 4 or 5 emails built, get them into your system, and then every week, just add a new one in. Take the pressure off, right? So you don't have to start building 3 or 4 emails all at once. Get them done, and then add maybe like 1 a week. So every week, you're just adding an email. All right. So, fast and furious, right? Fast and furious. This stuff is really, really important. And I'm telling you from experience, and I'm telling you from the fact of the number of people that we've dealt with and put through our Accelerate program, these 7 things can be game changers, right? You're probably not doing all 7 badly, but there's going to be one or two in there where you go, you know what, if I just do this or do that, that can be a big difference to how the kind of response that we get, or how we are, nurturing our prospects or the people coming through. And by the way, it's just professional, right? We just want to have a more professional face on some of the things that we're doing. So there you go, guys. Hopefully that was useful. Sorry for being late. My bad. Again, technical stuff that happens. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you're on a replay and you're watching this, let me know if there's anything in there that kind of hits home or that has been, valuable, that you think, hey, you know what, that's probably something that I need to go work on. I want to hear. We built this group to support you guys, but we can't give you the level of support we want to give you unless we hear from you and you tell us, hey, this is the problem I've got. So get engaged, drop a comment or two in, right? It's not hard. So anyway, that's it, guys. 7 deadly sins of education-based marketing. Go tighten up on some of them and you'll start to get some much, much better results from the work that you're doing. All right. Take care. Appreciate y'all, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.